All right. So let's see here. We got a panelist, some guy, he moderates from time to time. I think he does this casually as a hobby. I think you might have heard of him. Victor Dandridge in the building.
Yo, what's going on?
And yeah,
I'm still trying to keep my FSK representation intact right now. Letting y'all know what it is. FSK all day. But I had to get a little gussied up, you know what I'm saying? Throw the tie on for this next panel, the business of comics. We about to talk about the business.
The
business.
Well, okay, so we got this panel ending, Victor D. If I could get you to round this bad boy off at 120.
120.
That'd be
excellent.
Because we're going to do our art auction on our next break. We're going to get that popping.
Excellent.
And if you're ready, sir, I'm going to get this started for you.
Let's go.
All right. And Leo, get back on the phones, man.
Listen, he's talking about why Carla is such trash.
Dang!
Let's let him have his conversation. All right. Let him live.
We're looking for donations. We're right at the $200 mark right now. The ticker is at the bottom. You can donate to PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. We're looking for a minimum of $1, but you can give as much as you want. We also have T-shirts available today on our T Republic page. I'll be dropping those links in there. Hit our email landing page as well to get your digital gifts for donating. This is a big panel. Get your notepads ready because it begins in 3, 2, 1.
That intro, baby. Oh my goodness. It gets you hype. It gets you excited. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to FSK Day 2020. I am Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics, welcoming this wonderful, fabulous group of creatives to the Business of Comics panel. What up, y'all? Y'all looking good today. Can everybody hear me okay? Y'all good?
Yeah.
Y'all being all quiet. Y'all being all chill. Come on, man. We got to wake it up. We about to have like a virtual Comic-Con. This is going down. So listen, I know most of you all, but let's give everybody else an opportunity to meet you. Starting off with Imani, since that's the order that I see you in on my screen. So we'll start with Imani. We'll go to Moana, and we'll just keep it moving around the clock like that.
Hello, my name is imanilateef. I'm the creator of Peep Game Comics. It's a digital comic book platform dedicated to comic book creators of color. I'm also the creator of Junebug's World, where I teach kids how to create their own stories using comics.
I love that. Moana?
Hey everybody, my name is Moana McAdams. I am the co-owner of Burning Spear Comics, where we self-publish the Wildcard Chronicles, a children's book series, The Adventures of Nakoa and Nohea, as well as the up-and-coming Moana Nui podcast, where we get to celebrate heroes of color and incorporate the historical aspects that inspire the stories that tell them.
I love it. Kara Nicole.
I am the co-creator of Fire Bitch, and I'm also a comic book colorist and a full-time professional cosplayer, and I'm also the writer of Confessions of a Cosplay Diva.
I love it. Sean.
I'm Sean Mack. I am the founder of Short Fuse Media Group, publisher of a bunch of indie comics. I'm also the owner, operations director of Indieverse Unlimited Action Figure Line.
I love it. Last but certainly not least, Travis.
I am Travis Gibb. I own Orange Film Productions. We do books like Voodoo Nations and Broke Down 4 Dead Bodies and Cthulhu Invades Oz. So all sorts of cool stuff.
And coming in like a rock star, Henri. Give everybody a quick intro as to who you are and what you do.
Hey, folks. My name is Henri Kompan. I'm the writer, creator, and producer of Hisun Shin. It's a comic series about a Korean admiral that battled the Japanese in the 1500s. He was outnumbered 10-1 and beat them 23 times in a row without losing. We also got another book called Marks, A Tale of Neglect, which is the story of my grandfather's life. During World War II, he was a Russian Jewish soldier who battled the Nazis. It's all a true story. I learned my grandfather's story as he was dying, so it's kind of picks up from there. And, I kind of peel back the layers of his past. And then I got a new project in the works right now. It's called Warline, a martial arts, comic book, superhero, sci-fi, thriller, epic, psychological stuff going on. And yeah, glad to be here with this great folks today.
Absolutely. Listen, we're about to cut it up. We're about to give all kinds of trade secrets. And let's start off with something like deep dish. Okay, so we're talking. The theme is business of comics, but that concept is kind of ambiguous, right? First let's get an understanding of what we mean when we first say comics, and then what we mean when we say business, and how we define the two. So let's jump into that. And Moana, if you don't mind jumping in first on what your thoughts are. How do you define comics? How do you define business? And how do you put the two together? No, we can't hear you.
My bad. So to me, comics is like a huge thing, right? Like you have the books themselves, but it's an entire industry where you can, share your creativity in a ton of different ways. I mean, just for the folks on the panel right now, we have like creators, writers, artists, cosplayers, people who might do action figures and toys, so I guess that leads me to the business part, is that there are so many angles that you can come in and develop a business or an additional stream of income for you based on your creative passions. I mean, this is something that people love to do, whether they get paid or not. In a lot of cases, as creators, we all know this, that it's not an easy business to be in, but it is something that we are passionate about. And you can certainly build a business around that passion. So yeah, I guess that's where I'd start.
Well said. Kara?
I definitely agree with Moana. I will say that people have an impression of comics where they think, I'm going to make this comic book and I'm going to make all this money. And yes, that can happen. But comic books are very expensive if you do not draw, if you do not color, if you do not write, if you just have an idea and you want someone to come in and do all this for you. It is very, very expensive. Comic books are not cheap. So I think there's that main impression that, it's just comic books. Oh, no. It is not just comic books. It's comic books.
Capital letters, exclamation points. I love it. Absolutely. Henri, what about you, sir?
As Kara was talking, I was thinking about something I came across this morning. It showed, it was like a little meme or graphic or something, and it had Quentin Tarantino and Alan Moore both speaking about how their art forms were designed for the working class, and how Alan Moore, in his particular opinion, thought that comics should be made for people who have less money. But when you look at it, you agree with him or not, and I think that things have changed. We're seeing, especially right now, we're seeing such a huge transformation of our industry as we're being as cons are taken away from us, and we're basically forced to kind of navigate on the online platform and focus on live sales, moving more towards crowdfunding and things like that. It really has opened up the doors. And so I don't think you could put a dollar price on comics, but I 100% agree with everything Kara says, is that comics are expensive. And in order for us to make content, especially as creator-owned, people, we have to focus on really doing the best we can with what we got. And we're not Marvel, we're not DC, so you're not talking about corporate comics, and there's nothing wrong with corporate comics. It's just a different business model. What we're doing is grassroots, and we all have something to offer. We all have something to learn from each other. And I think it's a really great time to be in this business. No better time to be in comics than today.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Travis?
Well, first, I feel this whole thing is a Sean Mack setup. I like to be known as creative, and I don't want people to know that I know anything about business. And only Sean Mack is aware that I know anything about business. And he told Michael Watson, and that's why I'm here. It's bullshit. Try to deny it, Sean. Try to deny it.
I'm denying it. Denying all plausibility.
Dang.
Here's the deal. Comics is 100% a business, and you can tell the people who actually take it seriously as a business versus just a hobby on the way they do the Kickstarters and the way they do the marketing. You'll see the guy, I don't like variant covers, or I don't like to do digital platforms. So I don't care what platform you buy my stuff on. I want you to read my stuff. So whatever it takes to get you to read it, I don't care. I'm going to do what it needs to be. And even to the next level, with COVID, we've seen a lot of people who cannot, without a convention, they cannot sell their comic. They don't know how, they don't know it. So they became online media sensations, right? They have thousands of internet shows going on every week with sponsors and donations and Venmo and all this stuff, trying to get this other aspect. Every aspect of this creative process, once it becomes the book form, is marketing and business. Yeah, the creative part is until you get this physical thing, or digital, if you're doing digital, it's all becomes business.
I like that. Imani?
State the question again for me.
How do you define comics, and how do you define business, and build or bridge the two?
How do you define comics, and how do we define business? How do we bridge the two? Well, from the interesting standpoint that, like, me and you, Vic, we both teach comics.
Right.
And one of the first things I share with the students is that comics isn't just is an art form, and it's not just stuck in one particular format. Mm-hmm. If it's, I'm encouraging these young people to tell their stories, and adults sometimes too, tell their story. I give them as many options as I possibly can to tell that story using the comic book medium. So we're not just talking about the 24-page or 32-page floppy. We're talking about mini comics. We're talking about one-page short stories. We're talking about gag comics. We're talking about we start with a very broad approach to what comics are. When we talk about the business of comics, so now we're trying to take this thing that we all love and try to monetize it. And that's when it all gets tricky, right? And what I've noticed is that depending on the intentions of that creator, once they go in, then that will sort of dictate what their business actually is, right? If they are really a fan of comics, I've noticed that if they're a real big fan of the traditional going to the comic book shop every Wednesday and picking up a comic book, you'll notice that their business is sort of, surrounds that type of model, right? They're trying to get in the stores. They're trying to put out, a 32-page book every so often, that type of thing. But I've noticed people that are creating comics, and their business really is to get in front of television producers, right? So that book, is really just a loss leader. It's just a way to introduce their idea, their IP, to people that have the real money, and then they get a deal, and that's their business, right? It's still in comics. They use comics to open that door, but we've noticed that a lot of independent comic book creations are immediately getting picked up by studios and stuff like that. So that's their business. But that's one of the most interesting things. Whereas there's just as many ways to approach the business as it is to approach comics. So there's no one business model that works for all comics, and there's no one comic that works for every story.
No, I absolutely agree with that. Sean, you wanna cap that one off?
Yeah, after Travis put me on the spot, sure. Why not? I don't disagree with anything anybody said. Shockingly, I agree more than I would have thought I would agree with what Imani said. Imani being my humble foe. But anyway, I agree a lot with what he said, making sure the comics is a thing. One, the first thing that he said that is really important is this thing that we all love. Everybody on this panel, we all love it. And I think that's the first thing that I would say the comics in general thing is it's this thing that we all love. That's the vast first way that I define it's this thing that we all love. And the second thing that I agree with him on is the means of it being different formats of this thing that we all love. It can be, digital comics. It could be physical comics. It could be, whatever format you want to release these stories in. So the bridge to that and how you bridge it together with the business part for me is kind of simple, which I know it kind of rubs people the wrong way every now and then the way I say it, but it's simple to me. Business is anything that you do to generate a profit. If it's you taking whatever model that you have and with the intent of making a profit. As I came into the making comics and in the comics industry, it was a vast thing that I heard over and over with creators that, you can't make money in indie comics. You just can't make money in indie comics. And I laugh it off all the time because I'm sitting here doing this full time, nothing else, and I pay my bills just like everybody else. And it's like, I don't have a 9 to 5. So it's like, well, I hear you, but I don't hear you at the same time because I need proof of concept. And for me, the proof of concept is myself. It's always myself. It's never nobody else. My proof of concept is myself. And if I can do it, then I say, well, anybody can do it. It's just a matter of the process that you go about doing it. So the bridge for me is finding a way to do this thing that I love while also making a profit. Because if I'm not doing this thing that I love while making a profit, then there is no bridge because it's not a business at that point, because there's no such thing as any business that operates consistently with the goal of taking a loss. So
it's very true. It's very, very true. And you're kind of bridging off of that. I think that, obviously most of us came into the game as fans. So having this sense of business is a sign of the maturation of us moving beyond just creatives, not just wanting to create a comic. At what point did it actually occur to you that the goal should be about the financial profitability of the creation as opposed to just wanting to get something out there? And I'm going to throw that out to anybody that wants to jump in. When did you figure that out?
I'll take that one. All right.
Go ahead, man.
My initial entry into it was my first thought, period. When I first started, my whole thought process was I want to tell these stories, but if the goal is to release them to the public, then the reality of it is I want somebody to buy it. Otherwise, I might as well just keep it in my basement or just do it in my house to myself. I post pictures on my wall and I'll have my story. That's my story. But if I want to share it with anybody, I don't want to share it as, hey, I just want to give it away for free. I want people to love what I do, and I want people to accept what I do and pay me for what I do. And I want to be compensated for the time that I put into it because I'm sharing it to you. Otherwise, again, I would just do it for myself, which I'm pretty sure we all got stories that we have to ourselves, and you can enjoy them to yourselves. I play with my toys by myself and tell my stories with my toys, and I'm good, so because I got Indieverse Unlimited action figures. I can play with toys all day. So, I could tell whatever stories I want by myself. But when it comes to bringing it to the public and involving the public and going on social media and making all these posts that we make all day, every day, the goal for that is, hey, I want you guys to see what I'm doing and love it just as much as I love it. Because it's, again, like Imani said, it's this thing that I love. And it's this thing that we all love as a community. So, hey, can we all love it together? And at the same time, I support your efforts. And I want to get your stuff. And I want you to get my stuff. And let's all just do this together. So.
Right now, the image of Sean laying on the floor in front of a flat, TV playing with toys. That's all I can see right now. Just kind of rolling around him, just pew, pew, pew. That's what I got in my head right now. Andre, what were you gonna say? Oh, I'm sorry, Carrie, go ahead.
No, I want to go into what Sean was saying. Another thing that people don't understand, since we are talking about the business side of this, you can only take a loss on your taxes for 5 years on your business before you will be audited. You can't just do this and keep pumping out funds and using it as a deduction. It is a fantastic deduction. I definitely say, use your deductions, but you only get 5 years before you better turn a profit.
That's right.
Facts.
Yeah. Oh, well, it is different per state sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in Ohio you get 10. But
you get 10?
You're absolutely right though. At that point it gets
I'm moving to Ohio.
Yeah, right?
It gets brought down to
There
a
are
hobby.
a bunch of farmers. It takes 10 years to grow.
I mean, it's not wrong. It's not wrong.
Even in Michigan, I think you get 3. But I mean,
okay. Yeah.
I'm not in
What
Michigan.
What I was going to say is just kind of going off of that is, I think when we initially get into this, kind of going back on what Travis was saying, you want to make your work available. You don't. It's not about caring about how people read your content. It's about the fact that you make it available and that they can enjoy it digitally and physically, however they want to enjoy it. And I think the main thing that for me, kind of like the business aspect of this has always been something that I've been paying attention to. I think that we've all kind of like seen it because, when we go into a comic store or when we're watching anything comic related, like it's already being marketed to us. Like if you look at like a trailer for a movie, there's something about that trailer that makes you want to see that movie. That's all marketing right there, and you look at Stan Lee, like showmanship is a really important aspect of the business. And so when I got into this, like I tried to look at what I could offer or what wasn't being offered that I knew that I could do. And that's what I think comic book, the difference between comics and the businesses is that they're both require creativity on a very high level. And there are certain things that we can all learn from each other that can help us hone our abilities to do better, to make sales in other avenues. And I really like what Sean said, because, that's what it's about. We all have to support each other. That I would say is probably the greatest silver lining I've learned from 2020, because prior to that, I was at all these conventions and just focusing on everything that I had at these shows. But now that these shows aren't here, it's like that gives me a chance to learn from other creators and, bring it to a different platform and try and drum up sales a different way that I would have never thought of had it been for the situation we're in right now.
Of course. Travis, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah. So you asked, one of the things you asked specifically is when you knew that it was a business. It's when I ordered, I believed in myself and I ordered 1,500 copies of my book. And I sat next to somebody and they're like, "Oh, we just sold out." And I was like, "Wow, you sold out? How many did you order?" "Oh, I ordered 50. And realizing it's a different ball game and not everybody's playing on the same level, right? Some people's Kickstarters, literally that's all they print. They print 10 more for their friends and family and that's it. Where I'm in more of a long game strategy, building it up, but still needing to sell out before I make that trade, because I don't want to have tons of copies when I have the trade, because I can just go to the trade. It's building that and figuring out what that looks like and what that success means to you, because that guy is just as successful in his opinion as me, even though I may have sold more copies. The level of success is from each individual creator. But if I want to go to that next level, I need to get as many people I have as I can to get it. One of the examples I have is I had to buy comps from somebody for their book, and they charged me $4.25 for a comp. And I was like, "Are you serious? The book's $5. You only make 75 cents an issue?" He's like, "Well, I don't order that many." And I was like, "I just don't understand." And that's where it comes to the business, is figuring out what those margins need to be, how you can make it profitable. And that guy particularly didn't even have variant covers, didn't believe in variant covers. So he literally is only making 75 cents. And he's only printing 50. Like it's not that business mindset. It's trying to figure out what's the way to make this not only profitable, but get as many out there to your fans as possible. And at whatever level they want to spend. That was the first thing I needed to learn, is just because I wouldn't pay $20 for a cover doesn't mean somebody else would, and that was a big reality check to me, because I'm only going to buy cover price. It very rarely will I buy a variant cover, but finding people come to my booth, "Hey, I want all your stuff," that I still don't understand it.
Hey, you don't need to comprehend. You just need to comply with giving it. That's it.
That's right.
Moana, what about you?
I guess I would kind of say it was a bit eye-opening when we first started, just understanding the background that goes on with creating a comic, all the different roles that come into it, whether it's writing and penciling and inking and coloring and lettering. And then, if you even make it that far and your project is coming together, then grappling with how you're going to pay for your print costs, right? Because this is before I was onto the Kickstarter game, and, understanding how to leverage that to help you along. So for us, we put out a ton of money for issue 1. And it wasn't even just on the creation of the comic. For us, we had the long picture in mind, from the jump. So for us, we put a lot of money into traveling the convention circuit, because we wanted to see what was out there, identify the gaps of what people are doing great, what they're not, what is not even existent, what things we could improve. And so for us, like profit and loss, to me, it's like, it depends on what part of the game you're talking about. Like, am I making a profit on my book? Yeah, probably. Am I making a profit overall on all the things that we invest? Probably not yet, but that is the ultimate goal. And to have that kind of resilience to keep going and keep eating those things, right? Because I just see them as investments. Like, they're not necessarily bringing things back to me yet, but once those things are in place, it's gonna, it will bring back the rewards that we want. And to consistently be able to do that, you just gotta have that grit, right? Like that we all do here. Like we're in here, we're committed, we're passionate. This is what we're doing. And then also being a continuous learner along the way, understanding when you have to pivot because something's not really working that great. Maybe we got to try something else. So one good example that we're doing is, we're trying to build up our YouTube channel so that we can not only highlight and collaborate with other independent creators, but just, the overall fandom too. Like, how can I bring other people who don't even know about the Black indie comics community or the indie comics community in general? How can we bring them into our sphere and get, in a way, educate them? Because that's really what good marketing is educating people, getting them, excited about something, learn about new perspectives about it. And then, ultimately they're going to want like, okay, so you're doing this. This is great. I love what you're putting out. So what do you have for me to buy? So understanding those things is a big part of this business.
Absolutely. Imani?
So the question was, when did I... Can you hear me now?
We can't hear you. We lost you. Sound-wise.
Hold on here.
Let me play
hear
with
him.
all the buttons here. It might be Mike's fault. Mike then came in here.
I can hear him too. I can hear him too.
And he's changed his mind.
Actually, Watson's like the voice.
Yeah, we can hear you.
That's weird. I can't hear anybody. Mike broke something. He done went in here and broke something.
Imani's on mute now.
Like, I can't even hear Mike now. Man, Mike done broke everything. Look at him touching stuff.
He broke everything, including my heart.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
That's better.
All right.
I think Mike was trying to get back at me about that Carla thing earlier. That's fair.
Funny. That's funny.
When did I know it was a business? That was a question?
Yeah.
That's kind of, I think I've always gone into it knowing it was a business.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had a different revelation in the sense that it occurred to me that if the business alone was sort of like just selling the comic book itself as a physical thing, that there wasn't a lot of money in that physical object. Right. When you start looking at that physical object and then the profits and losses in terms of that physical thing, those profit margins are very narrow, right? Yeah. And you can see throughout the industry all the pressure that is put to bear on the retailers, the publishers, and all of those people that are involved. You start to understand the games that they're playing to sort of, nudge certain parts of the business in one direction or another, just battling for a profit margin, So the revelation that I came to was sort of in a weird sort of way, was like, okay, there might not be all that much money in this physical thing as far as a book. And there's a way that I have to really operate to gain more money or make more profit, in spite of that. And then I started thinking about the fact that, from a business standpoint, comics is more than just a book, right? It's more, it's about the experience, especially when you go to a show. I learned that it wasn't about, people aren't just there just to buy books. They want to be a part of an experience. So you got to get shirts involved and all this kind of merchandise, because they want to be a part of a movement. They don't want to just be a part of, like Moana was talking about as far as building a fandom. They want to be a part of something, not just a part of reading this thing. They want to be a Deadpool fan. They want to, being a Deadpool fan might not mean reading the comic. It might mean, just wearing the t-shirts. I love wearing the t-shirts, or I just love collecting all the toys, or I just love watching all the films. So it's sort of like when you start talking about the business, you start to understand that, okay, I can't just be tied to just this one physical part of it. Which brought me to the second point that, I started to fall in love with just the art form itself, aside from the business, aside from making money, teaching, comics and stuff like that, and giving kids the opportunity to tell their own stories.
Right.
And they're at the point that most of these kids are at, they're not thinking about profits and making money, anything like. They got these notebooks, stacked to the ceiling of all these stories and drawings they done made, and they haven't figured out how to put that on paper. So giving them the opportunity to tell their own stories, that gave me actually led me to a business where I was making a profit. Right. So, and I'm still in the comic book industry, but I'm not necessarily tied to, I'm not talking about, I'm on that issue, whatever, of a comic book or anything like that. Yeah. So when I started understanding those concepts, I was able to be more flexible and more imaginative as to how I, make money as a business.
That's wonderful. I love that. Kara, I know you threw in a little earlier. Did you want to add anything else to that concept of understanding when the business maturation aspect kind of comes in?
So for me, it was kind of a do or die. Mm-hmm. I had started in cosplay, and I was one of the first cosplayers ever to buy their own tables at a convention. Mm-hmm. I always tell people, when you're getting into this kind of business, you got to put your money in where your mouth is. If you don't believe in your product enough to put your own money and your own time and your own worth into it, why would anybody else want to invest in you either? You have to invest in you first. And so for me, like I said, it did become a do or die. It was, can you be at this con? You cannot do 36 conventions a year and put out that kind of content while working a 9 to 5. Right. Something's going to suffer. You're going to get to this point where you have to switch over to doing this full time, which means that you got to eat. And unfortunately, there are fans out there that think, well, but shouldn't you just be doing this because you enjoy it? Well, yeah, this is the greatest job that you'll ever love. But we got to eat. We got bills to pay. We've got, all these things. We got taxes to pay, and you got to pay to go to conventions. It is not free. Even for me, it's not always the case. Right. So, and like, I know Henri, we've known each other in person before we ever really connected online for years, from show after show after show. And let me tell you, nobody hustles like that man. So
absolute truth, yo. Absolute truth.
So that's what I got to say.
I appreciate that, Kara. Thank you.
Yes. In fact, literally the show that I met Henri and Kara was Phoenix, was that 2014? I've seen both of them hustle very different products, but still that same spirit. It's absolutely wonderful.
You were killing it too, man.
Well, thank you.
We were neighbors at that show.
Yes.
And if I can just say one thing very quickly. Yeah. One of the things I learned early on in the game was there's this sense sometimes of people thinking like, well, that person's stealing my sales, or that person's really good, so I won't get enough sales. And I always use our experience, Victor, as an example of how two showmen can work really hard. You're the hardest working man in comics. It can't be disputed. And here we are together. And we both, I sold out of everything at Phoenix that year a day early. And that was my fault because I didn't bring enough stuff. But you were working the entire weekend. You were hustling. We were working off of each other. When I had customers, you were able to work off of them. When you had customers, I was able to work off of them. It goes back to what Sean was saying about how we all help each other and work off one another.
Yes,
so
indeed.
with that, that year, Henri left after Saturday.
Yes.
And I took his table.
Yes,
and
that's how I met.
My discount table. Yeah.
This is the way that works, man. Like, this is the sense of community. We've only got like 5 minutes left. So the last question I have for you guys is, where or how do you see your business growing post 2020? All the things that you've learned, especially this year, where do you see things going, and how do you want to get there? And Travis, I'm going to start with you if you don't mind.
No, I do mind. I do.
I'm sorry. We got to do it, man. Come on. I need your insights, baby. I need your insights.
All right. For me, 2021, going from 2020 is I'm going to start going and completing. I have a lot of individual issues. I have a lot of stuff, and I was going the publisher route. But right now, going to get my book published at a Scout or an Aftershock, even though those are great concepts, they're backlogged because of 2020. They're backlogged like 6 or 7 months. So I can send them my book and they can put it on the line for like October or November in 2021. Or I can keep completing and get my trades and then sell the thing complete. So I'm not going the publisher route for 2021, which was my goal for this year. I was going to just write a whole bunch of things for publishers. I've got a couple of things that are complete. Let's do that. So I'm going to do the opposite and just finish stuff. So by the end of the year, I want 4 graphic novels of my work. So full 5-issue miniseries done. Here you go. What's up?
Nice. I like that. Imani, what about you?
We've been looking to actually sort of like diversify our website, like adding more products for comic book fans. So, with, typical merch like t-shirts and stuff like that, but also, definitely like I hear people talking about toys. I'm definitely interested in that. Like coming up with some type of, Funko type of collectible, item. So that's where we're at right now. And then adding, more creators to the site.
Of course. Moana?
So for us, we are building out our YouTube channel to kind of focus on the collectible statue angle of stuff, and to bring more people into our sphere. And then also, I'm hoping to have a Kickstarter here in the last quarter for my podcast, and through that, I plan to incorporate some of the other ancillary things that we do, where we offer up like guest spots or co-host things, fun stuff that, could be fun for people, sponsor spots, so that if you want to have your business mentioned on every episode, or if you want to come on and be a guest on the podcast or on the channel, and perhaps we have like some kind of special exclusive or a discount or something for the viewers who tune in, just trying to think creatively and outside of the box of how to build community, but also keep the business moving.
I like that. Kara?
So we are expanding. We've got our next book that'll be coming out in 2020 outside of Fire Bitch called Unstable Frequencies. And we're working on music. We've got, I just put out an EP with my calendar, and we've got a full album that'll be coming out with Fire Bitch based on that book, as well as expanding my Patreon to include more art, comics, and music. So we're kind of hitting all of the points. We've got music, comics, cosplay, because it's all entertainment and all encompasses. And so, yeah, we're looking at having more books, music, art, everything.
That's brilliant. I love that. Henri?
So I have a dealer outfit, and I am now on the Comic Book Shopping Network, and I have been getting a lot of demand and popularity for having independent, self-published, small publisher books on my rack. So I'm going to be focusing on building out that business year-round, and I'm also working on transitioning everything that I was doing at conventions to the internet. And I still will be going to conventions, assuming that they're held and that they don't get canceled at the last minute and I don't lose money. And I'm continuing to learn from all of my friends, especially Kara. Kara has been a huge inspiration for me this year, just seeing how she's hustled, seeing all of her incredible crowdfunding campaigns, Travis, you too, man. You've been a huge inspiration to me. Just seeing you like working it, and really, you got a really strong sense of what you're doing. Imani, Sean, Moana, I don't know you guys, but I think this is what's so great about what we're doing right now is that this is how we get connected. And this is the only place you can connect because when you're at a convention, you already put your money in. You just got to go in and pull it out. Just like what Kara's saying, you got to pay to play. Here, you don't have to do that anymore. So now we have more time to connect with each other. We have more time to learn from each other. I think this is a beginning of a new frontier, and we're going to start to see self-published, creator-owned books really build on in a way that we've never seen before, in a way
agree
that
with that.
never been done before.
Absolutely. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Sean Mack, bring us on home, bro.
Kind of, Kara pointed it out earlier where she said you gotta, if you believe in yourself, you got to put your own money in. And while I celebrate the fact that we've profited well off of the comics line and things like that, contrary to what a lot of people would say, my biggest investment so far has been this action figure line. I mean, I've put tens of thousands of dollars of my own money into it, and the payoff that I'm looking for, and the turnaround for the launch is, I'm looking to triple that, to be honest. I've paid the front end cost. I've covered the front end cost for a lot of creators outside of myself, because as I've done with everything with Short Fuse, which I always throw out there, the funniest thing about Short Fuse is we put out over 70 comics. None of them are mine. They're other people. They're other people's, and I promote them like they're mine, and I help out and I do things like they're mine. Because I want everybody else to be successful. But my stuff is coming. But with the action figure line is another thing. The goal with the action figure line that I keep trying to hit home for people was that I see an opportunity as far as whether it's conventions returning or just selling product in general for creators to expand their product offerings. And while we produce comics for other people and we produce action figures for people, most of this has been customs. And right now we're doing official action figures with the goal of mass production. And I want to be able to have all creators be able to come and say, Sean, can I be a part of this action figure line? And we say, yes, you can. Here's how you get in. This is the discount you're getting for being in, and you don't have to spend the $19,000 that you do if you made your own action figure on the front end. You can come in on the back end with us, and we can get this going together. And it's basically putting a model together where my focus is being where everybody can say I have my own action figure at a quality price point, at a good price point that they can actually sell and make a profit of. So that's a big deal for me because I've spent a lot of money over the last 4 years putting into it. And beyond that, similar to how we did when COVID came out, we had our highest growth as far as online sales. Because one thing I always preach is that your online stores are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So for the people that do conventions and sell, thousands of comics, well, if you transition that marketing online, you can sell the same amount without having to be at a convention.
24/7 around the clock. I agree with you.
Right.
So my focus is maximizing our online sales because we had our largest year this year with COVID and everything. Typically on our online store without any marketing. We haven't really done any marketing. We've been doing anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 probably every year. Well, this year we've already surpassed $6,000. So it's like, well, I want to double that. I want to double that and keep going and triple that if possible. So that's pretty much where I see the growth going for Short Fuse. A focus on online sales and then a definite focus on launching the Indieverse Unlimited action figure line.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, you see where the future is, where it's going. You want to be a part of it. I want to thank everybody for coming together in this conversation. The business of comics. Big love to FSK Day. Make sure that you are donating at least $1 if you're tuning in. If you like what anybody is saying, depending on how many people are on the panel, throw that much in. That's what I'm throwing out there. There's a lot of content that we're giving you guys, a lot of jewels. Drop a $.
That was a perfect speech, and he just went
Yeah.
I know. I was inspired.
He's frozen in astonishment.
Frozen in time.
Impressed.
I will go ahead and finish it up for him. Thank you so much, everybody, for being on this panel. The panel was amazing. I knew it would be. You guys are fucking rock stars. Did great. I want to thank you. I can't thank you enough. I mean, you guys are helping make this day happen and getting a lot of attention on the eyes for us, and I'm hoping getting attention for yourselves as well. I've been sharing out your stuff as we go. All right, so we're going to wrap this panel up. Danny, Veronica, and I are going to come back on before we go into our next panel, which is going to be a heated debate, the hues of color and how much that matters. Thanks to everybody on here again. All right, D. Coop. So I was bringing this up for everybody. So Danny Cooper, editor-in-chief, also mathematician genius, has fixed our total. We're at $255 right now total. That's great. Let's keep it going. Want to let you know we're going to close this section and we're going to open up a new one. It's live right now. The link is live and available on the Freestyle Comics Facebook page. It's available on the YouTube page. It's available on the Twitch channel. So all you got to do is when we close this one, just go right to that one. Let's keep it going. We've kept up to 25 people in here the entire day so far, and I want to keep it that way. But StreamYard is going to cut off and stop recording at 4 o'clock. I mean, at the 4th hour, and I don't want to lose any of the footage. So we're just going to start off with a new one here in a couple minutes, and that's already established. Now, in case you did not know, the auction, the art auction, is live right now. Danny, can you hand me those pieces right there? All right, so we're going to be adding artwork up here. We have a link that I've been posting in here. All right, let's see here. All right, so this is a 5-piece Avenger set drawn by me, inked by the infamous Corey Hubble. I'll get into the story of why this was created. Because it's a good one. This is $50 a page. And so we're going to mark that up to $200. Yeah, I know I said 50, 200. One page you're getting free because one of the pages is damaged. But this is the original artwork. So we got that up. All you got to do is put on there that you're bidding for the $200. And that bid will go until 4 o'clock today. Whoever gives the highest bid, it's going to be yours. You get the bid on it. And I'm going to put the link in here one last time for y'all, so you can go check that out. Art auction is live, and we're going to be throwing up plenty more arts.
So Mike, I know there was a question that came up of where someone could get one of these hats. They are $24. That covers shipping costs. So if you are interested in one of the FSK black and white or blue and white trucker hats, definitely let us know if you make your donation. Make sure that you include in there that you want the FSK hat.
Yes, excellent. All right, so I just put the link on Facebook, on Twitch, and on YouTube. Click that link. You'll see the whole piece together, and then you'll see the piece. I took a snapshot of all 5 of them, kind of like fanned out. So go ahead and put your bid on that. We'll be putting up some more pieces. Veronica did an original watercolor marquee piece that we'll be adding there and whatnot. And we got some trading cards that she did some watercolor work on as well. Lots of stuff that we're going to go. We're really getting things popping. And on the new one, I got all the links available in the actual, the post. The post. So when it gets posted, all your links will be there. Remember, if you donate it, go ahead and hit the email landing site so we can get your email and get you out your digital packages today. All right, hold on 1 second. Come on, I got you twice. I'm about to close this one. I sent the new link. Boom. All right, so this has been great so far. We're doing good. I'm going to shut this one down, and I'm going to immediately start the new one. Come back. We got the hues of color coming up next. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you in like exactly 2 minutes.